Good evening and welcome to our first meeting in 2024 of the Beachside Redevelopment Advisory Board. Our chairman is under the weather, and as vice chairman, I've been asked to chair this meeting, and I'd like to welcome everyone to this forum. For those of you who might like to speak during the meeting, and you never know when that's going to happen, so it's a good idea to fill out one of these forms, should you be verbally inclined, and hand them in, please. And if you could print your name, John Nicholson's name I know like the back of my hand, because I've had so many requests from John to speak. If you would do that, we certainly would appreciate it. It would make it much easier as we move forward. Could we have this is a call to order, could we have the roll call, please?
Robert Ellis, Gary Libby,
Here.
Tony Servance, Amy Pyle,
Here.
Helen Humphreys, Raymond Masson,
Here.
William Bittor.
Here.
And
Okay.
that's it.
And we have a quorum. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, if we might. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As is our custom, I think we will adjust slightly the agenda and speak and call on our police department. If we have a police report, we certainly would like to welcome you. Could you identify yourself, please, by name? And welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Jeremy Nicolo. I'm a police captain for District 2, which encompasses part of the encompasses Beachside as part of my district. Thank you for having me. I was trying to come at the end of the year last year. Long story short, I got sick and it lasted for a while, so I was trying to keep my distance from everybody. Usually what I would do is I would start with crime numbers. Last year we had to change our crime reporting per the federal government. So we had to switch to a whole new reporting system, different criteria. So we don't have numbers that we can compare right now to last year, because we would essentially be comparing apples to oranges. Yeah. So once we get enough numbers in the database to compare, then I'll go ahead and bring those for you. But I can't give you any numbers right now because they wouldn't even make sense to us, because again, we were comparing two different things. On the beach side, we had a good New Year's Eve. There were really no issues at all. Main Street was good. Seabreeze was good. No problems. So glad to see that there were a lot of families down there and a lot of people having a good time, and no miscreants, no problems down there. So that was great to see. You may have seen that we had a magistrate hearing for Follow the Smoke, 631 North Grandview Avenue. That was great to see them be brought to magistrate. That is a project we've been working on for several months. It took a while for us to get enough violations, enough documentation to be able to bring them to a magistrate hearing. So on the police side, we had Lieutenant Gernert. She really took the lion's share of the operations. On the police/code side, we have Sergeant Blowers back there. He really spearheaded a lot of the code stuff, along with Denzel Sykes and Mark Jones. So really appreciate that. The magistrate did rule that if there are further violations, then the owner, not the leasee, but the owner, could face fines of up to $5,000 per violation. So we'll continue to monitor it and do what we do in the way that we have to do it. Some stuff is undercover, some stuff is not undercover, but just know that we are working on that, and even if you don't see it, that doesn't mean it's not happening.
Could you share with us, in general terms, what the problems were with
Sure.
this applicant?
So the establishment does not have an alcohol license at all, so that's one problem. The second issue is that in April of last year, the commission approved the hookah ordinance, which means they cannot be open past midnight unless they have an extended hours permit, which they did not get. And they also are serving alcohol after midnight, and you have to have an alcohol extended hours permit for that. So there are actually a myriad of issues with the property, to include some code issues, and we had the fire inspector come out and point out a few things. But in order to, the business themselves tried to claim that they were taking steps to fix it, but they never did. The owner claimed that she was going to be removing them. She never did, so we just had to get enough together to bring before the magistrate, and we had a very good finding about.
Are they planning on serving alcohol?
I don't know. If they are, they're going to be in violation, and the owner would potentially receive a $5,000 fine for
Okay.
occurrence. So, but that's something that we have to follow up on, and we will be following up on. We put a lot of effort into it, and
And you're satisfied that we're moving in the right direction
yes,
with
yes,
this
the
organization?
process is a little cumbersome, if I may, and Sergeant Blowers could attest to that, but I think we're on the right path, for sure.
Any questions from members of the advisory board on this issue? This has been a lingering problem for
Yes.
over a year, I guess it's almost been.
Well, not on that issue, but I would just generally like, the business about not being able to compare prior year to this year would be if we wanted to get a percent, like a percent up, a percent down in certain things. You can't do that. But could you give us like,
General.
assault and battery 2, obviously, I don't think there were any murders, car breaks, like numbers, or we don't like to give those out if we don't.
It's not a matter of not liking to give them out, it's that we just, it's a kind of, I guess maybe difficult to explain is, in one system with uniform crime reporting, you only take the highest offense in a list of offenses for one incident. In this new reporting system, which is called NIBRS, National Incident-Based Reporting, they take everything, unless it's like part of the other crime. So part of burglary is trespassing, so you wouldn't have burglary and trespassing. But you might have a burglary and then a battery. So it's the way that we tracked it before and the way that we tracked it now per the federal government, it's changed. So we have to adapt to a new system, and that's why trying to give you, numbers compared to last year, just
Yeah, I
it
wouldn't
wouldn't be
want them
accurate.
compared to last year. I was just like, I think for our interest, we kind of want to see how's the area doing? How many cars were jacked?
Mm-hmm.
How many people were beat up? How many fights there were? That kind of thing. I mean, just like simple numbers. I don't know if that's possible, but it doesn't have to be right now. But I mean, I understand because I've heard the explanation for a while now. You have to unfortunately
Yep.
give it every time and for a year probably.
We were hoping to have
But-
maybe month-to-month comparison, but it's a bigger issue than that.
We don't need a comparison, we just like to know the hard numbers,
Yeah,
that's
just
all.
like there were 4 car breaks last month.
Oh,
That
okay.
kind of thing. That's
Oh, okay.
all I'm saying. Not a comparison, but 4, and then 3 people got beat up on the boardwalk or whatever it is.
Nobody got beat up on the boardwalk. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
That's good.
That kind of thing. I
Yes.
don't.
No, I mean, and overall, usually from about November to January, that tends to be the slower time of the year for this district. So, and ever since we really worked on Razzles with the compliance, we put into play a crime suppression team, which they handle crime trends throughout the whole city. But they work a few weekends out of the month, and on Friday and Saturday, their sole responsibility is to be down on Seabreeze from about 9 to 2. So between the Razzles restrictions, the crime suppression team, we have our Grandview substation, which opened up in September. We have the bicycle unit that's helping out down there. We're about to add 2 more just to help with quality of life issues around the city, obviously to include the Beachside. Things have not been very active. Now I know, we're quickly coming up on the Rolex, and then we jump into the races and Bike Week, and it just takes off, and we're
Okay.
busy until usually about 50 rod run. So we're, we only get a couple months off. But
Thank you.
If we see you in February, just kind of maybe pick 5 of the major statistics
Sure.
and just tell us like.
Sure, absolutely.
I think the background is, we used to always get the actual numbers of
Right.
burglaries,
Car break.
Right.
car breaks, that sort of thing. And so we don't, we understand the comparison is important from your perspective. It is from ours, but not as important as the actual data that makes the chart, the suggestion. So if
Absolutely.
you could do that, we'd certainly, I think,
not a problem at
appreciate
all.
it. You mentioned the substation. What are the hours of the police substation in the redevelopment area? And has there been, what's the general feel that the police department has on the move, I guess not 24 hours a day, but a lot of the day over to the new substation outside of the redevelopment area?
So that is the Grandview substation at the corner of Glenview and Grandview. It was built to have a presence in the Seabreeze corridor because that's really important. We felt if we're going to try to curb some of the issues on Seabreeze, we want to be right there. So we are literally right there. And it's primarily for night shifts. Day shifts can come in and out if they like, but they still operate out of our other substation there on Wild Olive. But I'm sorry, Harvey Avenue. So it's mostly for night shifts. And the front desk is usually staffed between 4 p.m. and 4 a.m. And we have 2 different shifts that come in for night shift. There's one group that comes in at 4 and one group that comes in at 6. And they have briefings there unless they're directed to do an off-site briefing. So if there's an issue on the boardwalk or an issue on Beach Street or an issue somewhere in the district, they might brief or have a roll call briefing off-site just for some extra presence. But they work out of that building, and they'll do reports there. They'll take lunch breaks there. They'll do training there, and so it's good to have it right there. We don't have all the officers there all the time because they're out taking calls for service and things like that.
Well, I think all of us realize that the Seabreeze corridor is tremendously important. It just happens to be outside of the redevelopment area in which we're the advisory board for. And I think as long as we maintain a strong police presence within the redevelopment area, in the substation, the initial substation, I think we'll all be, willing and waiting to hear the good news from having 2 of them. Anything else?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is that substation permanent or temporary, contingent on if things improve?
The new one?
Right,
It is
Permanent.
what we had a lease for. I believe it's 10 years.
okay.
So we'll be there for at least 10 years.
It's nice, you should check it
So,
out.
And,
I might be retired by then.
and getting back to the matrix that we used to receive, is there any way, I know Amy has asked this question, to drill it down to just that area?
Sure, absolutely.
Because typically it was a percentage for the whole
Sure.
district.
Yeah, it's so every morning we get a consolidated report of major incidents that have happened in the city, and the way that we determine that is through the federal reporting guidelines, and it's broken down by police zone, which I know isn't. The boundaries of our zones aren't the same as boundaries for the redevelopment zone, but it's easy to take. I can take those reports and I can tell you, from all the major things that have happened, this happened on the beach side. This is where it happened. Is it in your area? Is it not? That's easy to do. I can do
That's
that
great.
for sure.
Thank you.
No problem at all. Happy to do so.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Just one
Any other
question.
comments, questions?
Myself. On East ISB throughout the years, it's gotten a lot better because 20-some years ago is when I first came to that area. But on Grandview, where I think it's South Grandview, there's definitely a lot of vandalism and things of that nature. Now, you all are doing a great job, but is there any way, as residents, is what I can advise other residents, because there was a group of residents got together with me and they wanted to do have some kind of meeting, and they wanted to do some kind of coalition, East ISB coalition. So is there any way for those residents and the small business owners to get involved with the police department and help them? Like myself, I was thinking about putting cameras up so the police department could see what's going on. If there's any advice that you have, I'd like to get with you.
Sure. Would you? Yeah. Cameras help for sure. We can have access to those cameras, and our detectives can access those anytime. Lighting is helpful. Community meetings are more than welcome to come. Anything like that, yeah, we're definitely more happy because we realize that we can't be everywhere at once. So partners in the community help. I know that Ms. Pyle often emails me or sends me things that are going on, and and so always take a look at what we can work on.
I've helped with the lighting. I've put up about 12, actually a good 15 street lights outside, so it's really bright in my parking lot particularly, but a lot of people don't have the money to spend to do that. So if there's, if I could get your card by the end, I would appreciate it.
Okay, I don't know if they have one with me, but I'll rip off a piece of paper with my
Yes, sir.
info.
I appreciate it. Thank
And
you
then-
for your service.
Oh, sure, thank you. I know that on the north end, again, it's near the Seabreeze corridor, the city has done lighting studies to see what they
Right.
can do. So it might be beneficial to ask the city to do a lighting study on the south end to see what improvements they could make
Yes,
That might help out.
I lit up the side what I have
Right.
control of, and it's
Right.
like daylight when you walk out there
Right.
at night almost. Maybe have a little shade, you might be able to see a little shadow, but that's about it. But
Sure.
anything I could do with the cameras, how they need to be set up, how do I link them to the police department? How do I get my neighbors to link theirs with the police department? Because what makes it feel better is that the police department doesn't have to ask to go on those cameras. If there's an investigation and somebody steals a car, or somebody kidnaps a child, it's moments count at that point, is my point of view, if it would help the community. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was hoping we'd have another member or two, but I guess I will call for approval of the minutes with the four of us who are here. Do
I make a
hear
motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Pyle moves acceptance of the minutes. Any additions, corrections?
No.
Hearing none. All those in favor, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. The minutes have passed. I guess we have item number 6. And does the staff going to present this? Yes. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Angela Armstrong, Redevelopment Project Manager for the Beachside. I'm going to present item number 6, but before, please allow me to say hello to my son, 6 years old.
Aw.
He asked me, what do I do? So I explain in the best of my ability, and then that's it. So let's do something, just watch.
Yep.
Um,
Look up at the camera.
and so, hi Ethan, that's what I do. So, thank you. So, going back to business, I'm going to present item number 6, which is rezoning from Planned Development Redevelopment, PDRD, to T1, which is tourist accommodations, and T4, which is tourist, office, and retail. Project request. A request by Glenn D. Storch from Store Law Firm on behalf of the property owner, John Ott, to rezone 7.8 plus minus acres of land located west of Atlantic Avenue and approximately 750 feet north of Silver Beach Avenue. From Planned Development, Redevelopment, PDRD, to tourist accommodation, T1, and 4 parcels totaling 1.1 plus minus acres of land on the west side of Atlantic Avenue from PDRD to tourist, office, and retail, which is T4.
That's nice.
And this is a quasi-judicial hearing. Project description. In 2014, the subject properties were zoned Planned Development Redevelopment, which include the approval of the Bayshore PD agreement. The development was intended to be a Hard Rock hotel, but was never developed. The PD has since expired, and the property owner is proposing to restore the previous T1 and T4 zoning districts and zoning entitlement to the undeveloped parcels. This is the site location. We have 7.8 minus plus acres of land west of Atlantic Avenue and 4 parcels north of Silver Beach Avenue.
Okay. 4 parcels north of Silver Beach
Yes,
and all west, no, it's east of A1A, isn't the parcel?
It is east.
Yep.
yes,
It is, east,
is,
not west. Okay.
Yes. Sorry, thank
That's
you.
okay.
East of A1A.
Yeah.
And this project is located in the South Atlantic redevelopment area. This is an aerial view of the properties. As you can see, it's vacant, cleared land. These are pictures of the site west of A1A facing north, west of A1A facing south, and east of A1A. This is the current land use, is retails and tourist accommodation. the current zoning, PDRD, and this is the proposed zoning, T1 and T4.
Wait a minute.
Um,
Can I ask you one question?
Well,
So,
wait, we're gonna,
sorry.
let's finish, because
I apologize.
I'd like to sort of change the way we do this and allow staff to respond to questions
Yes, sir.
from the board.
Good point.
We've been missing that, and I think that, and then we wind up getting all involved in interrogating the applicant kind of thing. So I'm with you. We're psychological buddies here on that. Yes, please proceed.
Okay, so the project analysis. In determining whether to adopt or deny a proposed site-specific zoning district map amendment, the city staff should consider the following: consistency with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan and all other applicable cities' adopted plans. If it's not in conflict with any portion of the LDC, demonstrated a community need, and is compatible with existing and proposed uses surrounding the subject land. Staff finds the proposed rezoning further the goals, objectives, and policies of the City Comprehensive Plan and the South Atlantic Redevelopment Plan. No development is currently being proposed, therefore there is no conflict with any portion of this code. Any future development will require to comply with all LDC development standards. Development rights associated with the current PDRD zoning district have expired. Approval of the rezoning request to T1 and T4 will allow development to occur that meets or exceeds LDC standards. The applicant has not proposed any development to the site at this time.
Okay, so there are no plans.
There is no plan.
Okay.
They just want to restore to the previous zoning.
And did the applicant share with you why he would like to rezone this property?
No, but we have a representative from the
Okay.
owner that he's at the questions, he will answer all the questions that you have.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, the proposed rezoning will restore the previous zoning designation to the properties. The proposed zoning designation of T1 and T4 are compatible with the surrounding zoning designation. Staff has no indication that this rezoning to the properties T1 and T4 will adversely affect property values in the area. Restoring the ability to develop the properties to T1 and T4 could potentially encourage development on the property.
Absolutely.
See, one of the problems I think we have is that the new land development code is not the old land development code. And the new land development code opens, pardon me. Sure,
Gotta finish.
I thought she was. Okay, pardon me. Okay,
Well, yeah.
No, I have two more.
okay.
So, recommendation. Staff recommends approval to rezone 5 parcels from planned development redevelopment to tourist office retail T4 and tourist accommodation T1 to be consistent with the surrounding zoning. A majority vote by the Beachside Redevelopment Board members present and voting is required to recommend approval to the Planning Board and City Commission. This item is tentatively scheduled to be heard by the Planning Board on January 25th, 2024, and by the City Commission for first reading on March 6th and second reading on March 20th.
What was the January date for the planning board?
25.
25.
25th.
Oh.
So,
What was the date?
January 25th.
26th, okay.
Fifth.
Thank you.
25th.
25th.
25th,
sir.
okay.
So if you have any questions, we have here Mr. Storch that can answer.
Yeah, before he comes up, are there any questions of staff of the report as presented to us?
No, no.
Nope.
Okay, we have one here. Yes,
I have
sir.
one question, property D, is that occupied, single family,
No, sir.
so it's vacant as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Good question.
Any other questions of staff? The reason I think this is a very important part of our process that we haven't been doing since the new land development code is we rely on the staff. We rely on your judgment, your professionalism in presenting us an accurate picture of what the proposal is. We're very interested in hearing from the applicant and his attorney, and we can ask questions and he can answer those. But we're also very keen on your recommendations, I think. We've had some challenges recently in the past with reports having been given to us by the proposal, in a proposal that had really nothing to do with the real ultimate use of the property. And I was in a position trying to ask staff about that. It was on the parking garage project, which has caused a lot of discussion in our community. And to avoid that, I think I would, as one member of this board, really rely on your looking at the proposal very carefully and sort of anticipating what's in the back of most of our minds, and that is what the original land development code looked like before the revision. I think it's probably fair to say, and I'll just say it from my perspective, that I think staff needs to look at the new land development code because I personally think it needs some revisions. We have no height limits, we're violating setbacks, there are all kinds of challenges now that either we didn't anticipate, Mr. Chisholm didn't anticipate in his authorship of the new land development code, that are popping up now, almost 2 or 3 a year, that are major projects that we have to argue over because they seem so contrary to what has been the future plan for this city for years. So thank you very much. I appreciate very much your strong recommendations. I think they help me as I read through this proposal again. Yes, questions, Amy?
Well, it's not really a question. I just want to clarify. So basically, this is returning to the original zoning that it was before the PD, and that's basically it. So I'm prepared to make a motion to approve, just like.
Well, wait, let's.
I know.
I second.
You want
Well, I said I'm prepared, so when you're
okay.
ready for a motion.
Yeah, I think we owe it to the
If they-
applicant to make a brief presentation.
Very, very brief.
Yes.
Because I do want to answer.
Please identify yourself for the record.
For the record, my name is Glenn Storch, 4220 Boy Scout, 4420 South Nova Road, Daytona Beach. Okay. So first of all, yes, I've represented this project and this property for quite some time. This is the old Hard Rock, the site that was developed for that. The PUD for that was developed specifically for that Hard Rock, and therefore it couldn't be used for anything other than the Hard Rock.
Right.
And therefore, when it expired, and I'll answer the question of why do we want to change it. When it expired, you basically have nothing. You now have limbo. You have no zoning on the property. Therefore, you can't do anything with it. And it's now taken us about when we find out, we're going to do anything. If we're going to do any redevelopment, we need to do redevelopment. And to do that, you have to have your zoning entitlements. It's taken us about a year to get this part.
No,
So it means for a year, we've had no entitlements, and therefore the property has been sort of like sitting there in limbo, which again hurts our ability to do anything with it and generate tax revenues. So we looked at this, the logical thing, we looked at this with staff, obviously. The logical thing to do was to put it back where it was, but if you look at everything around it, it's all T1. It's the comp plan is T1, the zoning is T1, the most consistent zoning for it, without doing a specialty zoning for it, because we don't have a project, we can't do a PUD, would be T1. And so that's why we've asked for T1 in this case, just to get it back, and so that it can get back to looking at the idea of redeveloping the property, because it's an important property for the city.
And it makes it a much more attractive piece of property. I mean, with the proper zoning, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yes, sir. Question?
It would explain the fact is, I've felt your pain in other developments. But it would explain the fact when people come through Daytona and they say, well, why is that land empty? Well, right there. So I greatly appreciate what you're doing.
Well, and I appreciate the client saying, let's go ahead and
Costs
receive.
them that money and the city money.
It does, but it's a good thing to have it done in solving a problem. That's what we're doing. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Lennox Avenue going to the beach has access to the beach. It's gated off right now.
That's correct.
And what is the plan for that? Is
We are in,
the beach access or?
that'll still be a beach access. We are in the process, if you'll look at this, if I remember correctly, the handicapped access at the end and the seawall was
Yeah.
damaged by the hurricanes.
Correct.
Yes. We're in the process of fixing that now.
Okay.
Which is why it's closed, yeah.
Which is why it's closed. That's right. It's liability issues. But yes, we are in,
So it will be existing once
absolutely.
the codes are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Anything else from members of the board? Now, Ms. Pyle, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, do
Do
we
I
have a
need to read?
second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
You need to have public comment.
Oh, yes, public comment, that's right. We will table the motion to approve until we hear from the public, and I guess, Mr. Nicholson, are you interested in this one? No. Ms. Ruby, are you interested in this one? No. And Mr. Sorich spoke, so we're okay. I sort of anticipated that by what they said on their public statement sheets, but, so the chair will again entertain the motion to approve. We have a second. All those in favor, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much. You bet. Best of luck.
Happy New Year, sir.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Okay, next item is number 7, the Main Street events proposal.
Again, Angela Armstrong, project manager for the Beachside. Before I give the podium to Mr. Al, I just want to let you know that this is just information, okay? We are trying to bring more people to Main Street, and Mr. Al Smith has been working with the city, with downtown DDA for a number of years. New Year's event is done by him, so we just wanted to give you some information of some proposals that he is willing to share with us tonight. And again, it's just information. You don't have to vote or anything. Thank you.
Thank you. That, however, doesn't mean we might not have opinions on this very important topic. Okay. Good evening. Please,
Thank you, Gary.
your name for the record.
Al Smith, 140 South Palmetto, Daytona Beach, Florida. Appreciate having me here. So for a number of years, this is my 14th year doing New Year's Eve on Main Street. For a number of years, I also did 3 other events during the summertime when the tourists are here. This past 2023, we were not able to do it. Pretty much since COVID, the number of merchants that are financially able to participate has gone down significantly. So when I went to and met with Angela and Ken, talked about ways we could help creating events. And one of the great things about these events, they're community events. They're geared towards primarily the locals, also the tourists. They bring people to an area. Energy follows energy. What we find is when people show up, crime goes down, sales go up. People see, they get a vision of what an area can be, if not just for one night. So the proposal I have with them is to do 3 events this year and hopefully maybe a few more. But we had the Rum Fest that we did for 15 years. It was very successful. Actually moved it from Beach Street to Main Street 14 years ago. It did not happen last year. I also have a food truck event. I do the food trucks on Magnolia Avenue the first Friday of the month. It's very successful. I'd like to do a few of those on Main Street. And then a Tila's and Taco event that we're looking to bring some food trucks in and work with the bars. I mean, the strength of Main Street is in the bars that exist, the bigger ones that are there. And so rather than trying to create something that doesn't exist, let's try to take what we have and make it better and bring some life to them. I've got great response from from those bar owners. We're down 3 from what we had pre-COVID, like I said. So that's the plan, is to work with the redevelopment staff and put some events together and bring some life to the air, some positivity. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. And they asked me to come and share that with you. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Do you have a budget for these events, or will you have a budget?
We'll have a budget. Good question. So, and I'll say in our budget, it's not just, I pride myself in being a marketer that puts on events. It's not like we just, throw out a party and see who shows up. We do a significant amount of each one of these has probably a $7,000 to $10,000 marketing budget, get people there. And also, we like to have content. So like with the Rum Fest, we'll bring pirates in and have a pirate parade and do things. So those cost money and content to do things, not just show up and call it something, but really do that. So each event's a little different. I mean, New Year's Eve, we do, ball drop, fireworks, stilt walkers, 5 stages of music. So as much as we can duplicate that kind of thing on a little smaller scale on these others, it's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
I'm sure there'll be some questions, but how are you going to handle parking?
Parking, it really isn't an issue. You've got all the surface parking at the Ocean Center, and the Peabody seems to work well. The parking garage, even at New Year's Eve, we really handle that pretty well.
So the Ocean Center their parking has got to participate because
Well-
they don't naturally participate in special events on Main Street.
We work with them when it's sufficient. On these
Okay.
events, that's a problem I hope to have, but we do work with the city and obviously Peabody staff and open that. New Year's Eve, the Ocean Center opened their parking lots. Yeah.
So you don't seem to have you're not going to have a problem with parking?
No.
Okay. How about cleanup? And does your budget contain
Yes.
money to steam clean the streets and bring Main Street back to the condition it was
Yeah,
when you found it?
The only time we need to do a street sweeper is New Year's Eve, which I was out there at 4 a.m. making sure that happened this past
Okay.
2 weeks ago. But it's a pretty simple cleanup. It really is. When we get city services to help us with it, but here's the thing. What you want is a lot of trash, right? What you want is a lot of mess to clean up. The worst,
You did well.
what's a bad event is if there's nothing there to clean up. That's when you know you didn't have a very good night, right? So creating as much trash as we can and make sure we clean it up when we're done. So yeah, good question, but we don't have many issues.
Share with us the business plan that you use with the bar owners. I mean, do they contribute? Do they pay to participate in this event? And what about those who do not pay to participate?
Yeah.
We have this problem with the chamber with the bike events on Main Street.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not an exact science, I'll tell you that. But you have 4. The bars closer to A1A will pay more than those further away, and the ones that are smaller. So because they tend to get more of the business, but there is 7 bars that really foot the bill.
What do they normally pay? A lot, quite a bit, or?
Anywhere from $1,500 for New Year's Eve to it was $1,000 they were paying. That's what we kind of ran into troubles is for them to come up with $1,000 on these summer events and then make enough money. You're in business.
Yeah.
Make enough money to crack that nut and then pay your people and then sell enough.
The big question I have to ask, one, I'm a fan of yours. I'm not going to,
That's
blow your
fine.
head up too much. But even though this is a beachside board, I love the city as a whole. Down at Midtown, they need some stuff down there. Are you ever prepared to do something down on Midtown?
Yep. I actually did a food truck event there this past summer. August, I think it was.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, love doing it there.
Yeah, any other,
So
Amy?
the 7 major bars are kind of like the ones that have been there
Yeah.
forever. So what we have, probably Cruisin' Cafe,
Cruisin' Froggies.
Froggies.
got, Full Moon Saloon, Dirty Harry's, the bank.
Main Street
Main Street
Station,
Station,
and Boot Hill.
Boot.
That's them. Yeah, that's the main one. So, anything else, if those are all participating, I mean, I'm not even really sure I mean, Peanut and George's isn't there any,
No.
didn't they closed? So it's kind of like there's not really much else in between. I mean,
No.
bar wise right now.
I,
You got some,
I've been here my whole life, and it's, what you see down there right now is sad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
but if you can get all 7 of those involved,
Yeah, yeah,
then that's the,
They'll
that's a
participate
party.
in some way, or, you know, like I said, those further west don't quite get as many customers as those
Right.
closer to A1A.
This is primarily interior, then it's not on this, you're not going to close the street.
Yeah, you close Main Street.
You are going to close
Yeah,
Main.
close Main Street from A1A to Peninsula and the side street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a bigger
Well,
problem.
yeah, it's a bigger area. It's a big problem in that it's a lot of area to cover and try to create things to happen. And, you know, it's very linear. And
Share with us what kinds of things will happen. Will there be bands? Will there be music? I mean,
yeah, well, that's the other part, and to what you asked is that what I'd like to do is get what they put into this event to be less, so that they'll spend more money on entertainment. We'll count on them to do what they do well, which is entertainment. So
what's your gross budget, the gross budget?
gross budget
All things.
on this one's probably $8,000.
Oh, you can't do this for $8,000. Come on.
Oh, I do.
Well-
The gross budget, the gross budget.
Well, if I can ask, he's been doing this for years. Years ago, I used to work for a fellow named Tom Selle, and that he used to do the
Sure.
over here. Well, I'm pretty sure he could do it for 8. He's been doing this stuff in
Well-
his sleep for years.
Well, I'll say New Year's Eve. Now that's a whole nother animal. That was, you know, $80,000 budget.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
These are much smaller.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What would the total budget be for the events that you envision on happening in the Main Street redevelopment area?
The total number.
Yeah,
For a year.
per year.
Well, for those 3, I mean, I think it's pretty mod, but I personally, I mean, I haven't discussed this with staff, but I'm a big believer in events, and the more activity you create and consistency over time. But I would say $100,000 would be a number to
Okay.
spend.
Are there any city permits that you have to
Oh, yeah.
take out? Okay. Share that cost with us.
Well, we've actually worked with the city on that, so the city, not the redevelopment board, has helped assist with those. But those fees, depending on police, is the number that fluctuate.
You just read my mind, yeah.
It fluctuates from event to event. So I fluctuate so much, I can't really give you a number because it's changed quite a bit.
Well, maybe Ken knows. Ken, what is the city's cash share or in-kind share with police and things for these proposed events?
Well, it depends on how many people will attend, so.
That's right.
We cannot give you a number.
It's a
Because
guesstimate.
they have a fee schedule, and it is based on how many people, for
Yeah.
example, put on his application that will attend. They have a fee, I don't remember exact, but from 20 to 45 attendees, they have a fee for that. Depend how many police officers they are going to deploy. You know, it's
I would say, to give you a round
Yeah.
number, I would say $2,500 to
Okay.
$5,000 per event, something in that
Okay,
neighborhood.
okay, well, that's,
Like I said, it's varied over the years.
okay.
But depending on their availability too, staff availability.
And a lot of that money is not special for this event. The police officers, they're there too.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I just want to get a grip,
Yeah.
for, the more important it is, the more you get my attention.
Right.
If it's a minor kind of thing, those have been somewhat okay, but they really haven't helped the Main Street redevelopment area. We really need things like
Yeah.
this.
Well, it's a good question. I think it's a balance of you don't want to just do one big event and be done. You want to
Right.
be able to do consistency over time, but yet have them big enough that they have a splash and they attract.
Do you ever see involving the Ocean Center in this?
Not really, other than their parking lot.
Other than the parking, okay. How about Peabody?
Peabody, well, the band shell, we've always, in the summer events we've done, we've always tried to work with Dino and the band shell and what they're doing, sure. And the Peabody's, we work with them as well.
One thing I want to interject is what I'm concentrating on is the jobs and how it's going to help these bartenders and waitresses make a living and feed their families during these times. That's why I really am in favor of this. I think this is a great thing you're doing. I always look at the sunshine. I don't look at the storm. I don't worry about the trash. I don't worry about this. See how it helps our community as a whole and help them pay their bills. Because I have a lot of people that come to me for help every day. You know, can you help me with their electric bill or something? So I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Any plans or thoughts on having art festivals, craft festivals, or something like Beach Street has, similar? And add that to Main Street? That seems to be
Yeah.
a relatively big draw.
You know, we started I have a partner on that. We started 3 years ago. This will be our third year, the Daytona Spring Art Fest on Beach Street.
Right.
And we would like to create something that would fit
Like for the autumn festival or something.
chalk art or you know, maybe there's something we can do with the tattoo artist down there and have something that kind of fits
Right.
that street. Yeah, I think any way we can incorporate art would be great. You know,
Yeah, I mean, it's happening in Ormond and it's happening in Port Orange, the chalk art festival, so.
Yeah, we've had it. We're going to blow that up even bigger this year on Beach Street. So yeah, and it's actually a conversation I just had yesterday with a Main Street merchant is how we can incorporate that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments or questions? I think we all wish you the best,
Thank
you know, of luck. And we want, and Ken has been pushing for more quality activities in the Main Street area to bring people in there. We can park them. I wish we could feed them a little better than we can right now, but there certainly are bars.
Yeah, when I think, and I will, you know, the food truck aspect is something I'm very involved in.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, and I like seeing more food trucks on Main Street. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, as long as, you know, for many years, many of us have looked at the huge success of the bike events, and many people see it as impoverishing our city, not really adding too much to it. And the cost sometimes is, you know, prohibitive to have those events. And the trucks and all, you know, all these other kinds of things that come to town. This, you know, you add a lot to it because you've done this for years. You and I have worked on projects, you know, for a lot of great projects. And
No, I'm about community. You know, I've done the bike week. That's, you know, but
you've been there.
been there, done that. But I'm, you know, focused on helping the community.
Well, let us know how we can help you, because I think, you know, I get a feel that this board is very much in favor of supporting an effort like this and making it a success. So congratulations.
All right.
A quick question. What do you think about having more like and seeking out more breweries on Main Street? I'd love to see 5 or 6 breweries. You know, we could do a pub crawl and that kind of thing. You know, I mean, breweries bring people to these downtowns, and Main Street's kind of built for breweries in a way. You know.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
That'd be a
And I think
kind of a
that's when you
yuppie
allow
trend, you know.
Like if you allow, and I think the one that's down there is looking to do it now. If you allow breweries like that to bring a food truck in,
Right.
'cause I've been in I spent 12 years in the restaurant business. You know, I understand why you make a lot more money on beer than you can food. If you bring a truck in, at least you get yourself going.
Yeah.
It's a really good.
But it would
step.
bring people there because, you know, I would probably show up for food and 1 beer. I might not drink 6, but someone that might come with me might have 6,
Right.
you know? And if there was food, then you're going to have.
It's such a social aspect
Yeah.
of it. You know, it's
Yeah.
not. It's breweries are very social.
Yep. Get a flight and check out all the different beers and stuff. I think Main
But he
Street
brings
would
the
be.
dog, has a good time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
all right, okay.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, you're getting me thirsty, okay. Anything else? Hearing none, okay, thank you, Al. And the best of luck, and I'm sure we'll see you. So I'm sure you'll be back, okay. We're moving on, number 8, with the, yes, thank you.
Oh, okay, so today I'm bringing a draft of the commercial facade and interior grant program. You remember that we've been talking about this you know, we currently have a grant program, but we're going to improve it and include more stuff. So the appearance of the CRA commercial districts play an important role in creating a positive image of business district to attract new businesses and encourage business expansion. This program will provide incentive for business located in the Main Street and the South Atlantic redevelopment areas. In addition, the program will provide assistance for improving the interior and exterior of all the commercial buildings to meet code, increase occupancy, and improve the business climate. So this is a table that shows what we currently have and what is being proposed. The current grant that we have, commercial grant that we have, awards up to 50% of the total project cost for facade improvements only. And the proposed awards up to 80% of the project total cost for facade and interior improvement. That's what we are proposing to do.
Up to how much? Is there a limit?
It's maximum amount of to 50,000.
Okay,
This is what we propose.
Okay.
What we currently have is 5,000
right,
or 10,000 if the business have multiple storefronts.
okay.
The current grant does not offer design assistance. This one will require offer design assistance up to 20,000. Also, our current grant doesn't have any interior renovation. We are going to include now interior renovations, included but not limited to heating, ventilation, air conditioning system, interior electrical, or plumbing. And our current grant does not include roofing. We are proposing to include roofing. So this is a draft. I'm just letting you know what is currently being, proposed. And I just wanted to hear your input on this idea.
Okay,
We'll still have to make some tweak in all the requirements, because this grant will require the CRA and the business owner to get an agreement.
right,
Because, we may have some liens on their property.
correct.
Based on the amount that we grant.
Okay. Let's start with Amy. Any
Yeah,
comments, questions?
You did a lot of work on this. This is, I'm pretty happy with this. This is just a couple questions. I did notice, you mentioned roofing, but I also saw doors, impact-resistant windows, things like that people can apply for that they might not have been able to. So my major thing, and I don't know if this is something that can be figured out, is number one, how will people find out? This is the entire CRA is eligible to come in and apply for something like this. So like a really.
Both CRAs, both.
The
South and-
beachside, the
yeah.
beachside CRA area. So really savvy, financially minded people will find out about this and they'll say, oh, I'm gonna come in and apply. But frankly, maybe their place doesn't look too bad already, but they're gonna replace windows and things like that. Yet you have another building that really needs this badly, but the owner is out of state or they don't know about it, and we might not get the impact if we don't kind of judge it on need. So I don't know how you would kind of can the decision be made on, like, your place already looks good, you're not eligible. I'm just saying that out
Yeah,
loud. I know
what
that-
what is the
That's a good
eligibility?
question. And actually, when I get the approval from the CRA to go ahead with this grant, my plan is to have door hangers and just cars, because I'm going to visit those business owners to talk about the program, to talk about what we have. We are going to use, of course, our webpage, social media, but I believe that personal is key on this grant, so we can have more people to apply it and benefit for this. So these are this is my plan. I will get door hangers, cars, just to let business know.
Well,
that-
will we target basically the ones that really need it and make sure that they know about it? And if, I mean, maybe they won't want to do it, but,
Yeah, this is
I
America.
don't know, we want to see the impact of it as big as possible. And
Well, if you look around, probably
almost
Then-
everybody's eligible.
80,
Everybody needs it.
80%, 80%.
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
true. I mean, that is true, that is true. I know, but I'm just, like, for example, I'll say, like the facade grants, they get eaten up pretty early in the year, from my understanding. And, I mean,
And you
I don't know
can't-
if there's any judgment as to, I don't know. I mean, I guess I've already said, I don't have to read.
I think Amy
understand
wants
what
to
I'm
know, do you have a
One of the
priority
requirements-
list?
I'm
Do you
sorry.
have a priority list?
Well, I don't know.
Well,
You know,
one of
that's-
the requirements is that once they submit the application, they have to provide picture of the actual condition of the property.
Okay.
So that's a way
Yeah,
that
identify
we can.
existing conditions.
So that's a way that we can identify, well, this really needs help, or, but actually it's based on, the
Just the
surrounding.
application,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Will the owner of the property be willing to give you a pro forma on his financial situation? Because, Main Street has had some of the richest people in our area renting buildings that look like they're the poorest building in the area. And do you have any safeguards built in about making the rich richer? Keeping that from happening and really addressing some of the need. Now, I know our needs on the street are our needs on the street, whether who owns the building or not. But I think that's part of Amy's question is, the
Well,
priorities.
It is not, we are not going to do it income-based, because the end game is change the way we look.
Correct.
And right now, they can be rich, but they're not doing anything for their property.
Correct.
So what we are trying to do is just put a little bit like,
Okay.
push them, hey, we can help you, and see if they can improve
And it,
the condition of their building.
Well, that's what I hoped. It's to stimulate,
Exactly.
owners of the buildings who are not tenants in the buildings to think about their buildings more of an investment. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yes, yes, sir.
initially, it does work. It does work as a business owner myself, and I think it'll be a pretty exciting thing. Okay. The key point is in the past, it probably didn't work because it didn't have you all running it, because you do things very, very professionally done. And so I appreciate you. I'm very excited about this. This is huge. This is going to be a huge thing for the city, in my point of view, because it's going to make people want to redevelop. Because you got to remember, this is 50-50.
Right.
This business owner's going to have, if he's going to get 50,000, they're going to have to put up 50,000.
No, it's 80/20.
80-20. Who cares if
80-20.
it's 80-20? It's something. You know what I mean?
The city's putting up 80.
You're
They're
putting up 80?
20.
Yes,
Yes.
we are putting 80.
Oh my God.
I was waiting for you to realize that.
My house needs renovation.
No, I mean, it's good for renovating. Right now, we have a town where people are driving through, and it looks blighted.
Yeah.
So I can see the move for that. That's
And-
very
And
generous.
this idea is not
80-20
like,
is
well,
incredible.
we're going to do 80-20 because, yes. I research and I search what all the CRAs are doing, and I said, well, let me go to the middle and see if we can get more businesses to benefit from this.
Well, it's very, very, very generous 80-20 match that the city is paying 80 and the property owner 20. Very generous.
There's contingencies, I mean, if they sell the property within a year, they have to give the money back.
Yes.
That
Yes.
kind of thing. I mean, there's some write-ins that I
There
really
are owners
appreciate.
who've owned the property for
I
25,
know.
35, 40 years on Main Street.
But the beautiful part about that is what she's saying is there is contingencies, and they can't sell it within a year. As a business owner, they're gonna wanna come and invest. Because when you're going to buy one of these places, they're gonna look and it's just like a, it's
Correct.
bad.
Correct.
So now they look at, and they know the city is gonna help, so it's gonna bring people in wanting to start their small businesses here in our city, and this is really what we need, in my opinion.
Can we get Cruisin' Cafe
Yeah.
repainted and clean, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
let's-
I would be willing to put 100% into that.
Okay,
I would vote.
any
make a
additional
motion.
questions about the program?
I had,
Any other, yes, sir.
going back to Amy's original question about priority. Geographically, would Main Street be like the #1 priority? International be the second priority? Because these are typically where all the tourists go. So once that gets sparkling, everything else, you know.
Well, my priority is both CRAs. So, I mean, Main Street and South Atlantic.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
you know, I can't tell you I'm going to give priority to Main Street. Of course, Main Street is very important, but if I have applications for other streets, then I'm going to process it the same
And
speed
South
and the same.
Atlantic, like we have Land Shark and
Exactly.
that area, if that gets.
Okay,
So is it kind of based
all right,
on
yeah.
on
Okay.
time, like,
Amy?
yeah, like the first, you know, they're gonna be kind of approved in order of time?
Yes.
Yeah, so the
First
first ones
come-
to have their
Yeah.
complete package
First
done.
come, first served.
Okay, let's,
Right, it makes sense.
I think
Well,
you, I think
if
you've
they-
got a good
That's how
feel.
They have to do it, though. I mean, I don't see
Amy.
that,
It's first come, first served, because remember that we have a budget.
Yeah, what is the
Yes.
total budget?
Well, right now, I have a project line item that I can use is over 100,000.
Okay, well, that's modest, okay.
And it's just that line item, and then I have a grant line item, so it's
What would the total be?
well, I don't have the total at the top of my head
Well,
right now,
in
but
your
I
mind.
know that we have enough money to support 50 businesses if we have to.
Okay, okay. Okay, I think, you know, we.
Promote it.
People who have not lived here a whole long time don't remember how wonderful Main Street looked, and South Atlantic as well. I mean, we had facade grants, we had canopies, we had planters. I mean, the street has undergone up and down and up and down over a number of years. It's been there for 85
your
years.
phone buzzing.
So I think it's high time that the CRA considered investing or stimulating private people to also invest in this property. It's the only way it's going to get, grow. The problem is 40% of it is no longer there. And I think your program might stimulate people, infill people coming in and building new buildings within that area if they see it's on the mend, so to speak. So I think it's a very good program.
Thank you.
Even $250,000 is a modest amount of money to invest in a billion-dollar street, you know,
Yes. And we'll still have to do some,
tweaking.
tweaking on the, but I hope that I can have a final for next month so you can all see. And
And I congratulate you for including the interiors, the roof, and a lot of the things that have kept landlords from participating in many of the programs that we brought forward, because we had modest amounts of money, and so we wanted the facades and canopies and signage, in the front window to look attractive. The problem was when you got inside the space, it was difficult to hold an audience. put
And
it
is
like
that amount per year, like, we're gonna do it every year?
Every
Kind of, yeah, so could continue, the improvements can continue.
Well,
whoever does-
you're not looking for a motion, are you? Or are you?
no.
No. I think you have a feel, I think you have a unanimous feel from us that it's a very good idea, and we look forward to your sharing with us as it moves forward, as this idea further develops. We'd appreciate knowing about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank
I'm
you.
going to stay right here because I'm going to present the next item.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, do we have any speakers on this item? Anybody interested? Yes, please come on up, Ann. Welcome.
Thank you. Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. I think this sounds like a great program. Thank you. I do have some questions. I read through this. I might want to suggest making quarterly application dates so that you get pools of applicants rather than just first one in, second,
that's a
two,
good
boom,
idea.
boom. And do them by quarter. If you don't make the cut the first quarter, you roll over into the second quarter. Because that way the grants are being awarded continuously throughout the year, but you're able to look, like Amy is
That's a great
saying,
idea.
on some needs-based, not in terms of money, but in terms of what the CRA needs.
Right.
So that's a suggestion. The other thing, one of my pet peeves are the entryway aprons into buildings. They will renovate the building, we'll put a brick sidewalk out front, and the entryway, the little apron that leads to the door, looks terrible. And so maybe the city and the CRA could be like, look, if you go through our grant program, we'll donate a new entryway floor to you, so it looks good. It should be minimal amount of investment, but it gets taken care of, and it doesn't mean they have to put it into their renovation design, which for some reason, nobody ever seems to think is important.
Why don't you just include that as, one of the, one
And I
of
just
the
think it
items?
might be a nice little bonus.
Bonus apron.
You know, a
With
bonus.
every
So,
application.
Yeah.
Yes, Ann?
The other thing is, the professional design. I see that that's a $20,000 maximum award, but that's in addition to, or separate from, in addition to. So that's a separate grant they have to apply for. Okay,
But it's only if there's construction afterwards. You can't just go and get your design work
design and
done.
then run away,
Right.
correct. But then it says in program administration, any grant over 25,000 for an individual project requires approval. So that would be, any grant award for, that would be, include the construction, the whole construction grant.
Correct.
Because that's in the part for project funding.
Correct.
For the project design, so it's kind of weird because that's only 20,000. So technically, your grant could be for $70,000 and you'd pay 50/50 for the design and you'd pay 50 for the design, so $10,000 and you'd pay, no, I'm talking about me. I'm the business owner. I would pay 10 for the design grant and I would pay another 10 for the actual project grant.
Correct.
So my investment would be 20,000.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So I think that's kind of not quite clear from this, but I appreciate this. Thank you. And I think that's all.
Thank you.
So yeah, I really, those aprons drive me crazy. So did I hear you correctly to say that you have about $2 million you can invest in this per year?
Well,
You said 50 projects and if they're,
Over a number of years, and over a number of years. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you were listening.
I mean,
That 50,
yeah, do a little math anyhow. But yeah, I think a rolling deadline would be,
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Mr. John Nicholson.
John Nicholson, Beachside. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. Downtown has had it for years. About time that we have it. Secondly, I would suggest that it not be open to homeowners, nor any other block, but Main Street for the first year. For the first year, because if you end up just deleting it and you only get one project on Main Street, it doesn't, there's no image to it. You have, 75 buildings. There are about 20 of them that are attractive. You need to do 50. So if you go one project a year for 50 years, there's really no impact. So I'm asking you to consider using this for Main Street for the first year, to get it done, to get it to look good, so that you have an impact, all right? Secondly, they're gonna redo Main Street. They wanna redo Main Street to look like downtown. I would suggest that you not do that. Instead of spending all that money and taking up all that red brick, replacing it with white, leave it, improve it, get rid of some of those palm trees, especially at the east end, in which you've got 6,000 of them in one block.
No, you don't.
The store owners are objecting to every 5 feet, there's another palm tree. You don't have that on the rest of Main Street. They're like 3 or 4 per block. They have 16 per block. it's a bit much. So when we redo it, let's unify it from river to ocean. That end where we have Humphreys and we've got Karen and the riverfront. We stopped at Hollywood because of zoning reasons, and we never went back to the river. I suggest when we do redo Main Street, it goes from river to ocean, so it all looks alike, and we don't change it to white. Because motorcycles with their tires and their oil would play havoc with white. It really wouldn't fit there well.
John, where did you learn that information? That's news to me. Is it news to the
It went on
members
the
of
city
advisory
commission.
board?
The city commission.
It was at the city commission meeting
Pardon?
over a year ago, the city commission.
Yeah, there was just coffee talk. I mean, was there a motion? Did it pass?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and they want it to look like Beach Street.
But when? What was the target date?
There wasn't one.
Okay,
Same thing with A1A, there's no target date until they finish ISB.
okay.
And then Main Street will be coming down the pike after A1A.
And was white brick specified?
The
as-
white, well, they wanted it to look like Beach Street. Have you been to Beach Street lately?
Sure.
All the pink went out and then came white. That's what they want to do for, and I
That
don't think it's
isn't
good
white,
for us.
it's a buff color, but that's.
It's white.
Yeah. The white gets buff real fast.
Yes,
Concrete, it's not.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
hard surface white.
Yeah, well, certainly hasn't come here, has it, Ken? We haven't heard
But it's
anything.
coming down the
We got a
pike.
little time on that.
So, all right? But it needs to be done, and just hit the, not the businesses that need to be done, like Teresa's Properties. They look nice. There's several others, like the restaurant on the river looks nice, but you get the several others that really need it. Hang the door on those first, and hopefully they'll do it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Okay, any other comment, questions? Thank you very much. I think we like this proposal. I think many of us have been asking for something like this for a number of years, and thank you for doing the homework and the tough work, looking how these programs have successfully worked in other cities. Many of them a lot smaller than Daytona Beach. Sanford is a good example, I think, of where it's worked nicely. I guess, are we ready to move on then
Yes.
to public comments? We've heard public comments, no?
We still have one more item.
One,
Oh, 9A?
yes.
9A. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is the redevelopment project update. You have on your packet, oh.
There it is.
So, this is what we have before. You remember that we talked about that this signage was in very bad condition, so that we were going to repair
The
in
kiosk,
meantime,
yeah.
You know, while we figure what we're going to do with the signage. So that's been done. We fixed all the letters. That's how it looks now. All the letters are complete.
Yay.
Bravo.
And,
Sorry I didn't notice that.
Bravo.
yet, but I thought you photoshopped that.
no,
No, okay.
no.
I haven't been down there. Thank you.
No. So, based on our discussion on how we can improve that part of our Main Street area, I'm proposing to change the sign because it's old. So it's time for us to have like a new look and a new feeling. So I asked our company, a signage company, to send us some conceptual. This is just draft again, just for you to see
Right.
what we're doing. So this is the first option. It says Boardwalk, Main Street Pier. And this is a simulator of a night view that will replace the current sign that we have right now that says Amusement District.
Yeah.
And
Angela, I have to ask you,
Yeah, question.
light up?
Yes,
Yes,
On that picture?
yeah.
I
yes,
just wanna make sure.
just like
That's
that.
the lights behind the letter.
Right.
Yeah, we'll get to
Just like-
questions. Why don't you finish?
Just like that. It's going to look just like that. That's a night, the simulated night view.
Is there lights on this one? No, okay. You know,
There were spotlights on it that
oh, okay.
would
All right,
get
so there's no
stolen,
lighting
the
on
bulbs
this
would
now.
get stolen.
So, and this is the second option that they sent me. This is a light night day view. And this will be, come on, uh-oh. Yes. That's
Yeah.
the night, the simulated night view for the second option.
How do you want to go with this? I mean, I certainly feel comfortable in supporting the staff's ideas on this, unless you'd like a vote from this board on picking one when you maybe get down to two.
Yes,
Something
so
like
we
that.
just have 4 options. It's basically the same, but it changed the name. So we're still working on that because I requested more changes. I just wanted to keep you on the loop,
Okay.
so you can know what we're doing.
Have you had any discussion with the Historic Preservation Advisory Board? I understand they're moving ahead with the city on the historic signage for the historic districts that include several on the beachside within our purview. And I think it would be really nice because those signs they have many varieties of those signs. It might be nice as we're moving toward new signage to be sensitive to the fact that those signs will be available, like Peabody Auditorium is a local register site.
Yes.
Pinewood is a national register location. And the Surfside Village is a National Register Historic District. We might want to, it would be nice if we coordinated, I think,
Okay.
if we can, the looks of the signs.
I will take a look at that.
Yeah, I think they're moving. I spoke to their chairman last week, and it looks like they're moving forward with the city on that. And
Okay.
thank you, and thank Ken, and thank Public Works at the city for not forgetting this.
Okay, so this is a picture that was shared with me of 1970.
Yeah,
I was looking into, how to change the signage, and so I thought, so this is the perfect name for the perception that we are trying to get from our residents and our visitors. So Main Street is the gateway to the world's most famous beach, where you can have restaurants, you can have family entertainment, you can have arcades, you can have the perfect destination for everybody. So I asked the company to provide some renderings with this name, so you can see how it would look like.
that was a sort of a deco spin. It went with the bathing figure that used to be behind a building. We had a sort of wonderful 20s, 30s feel to the city.
So we tweak it and we give a little bit of,
Yeah, a retro, yeah, exactly, a retro look. Is that, I think,
Are you accepting comments from us?
yes.
yeah, I think what we'd
When
like
she's
to,
done-
we're going to start, and she's very interested in our opinion, so let me begin with you, sir.
Is she finished?
No, I have a couple of
Oh,
slides
okay.
that you
All
can
right, let's
see.
look at some of
This is
these
the night,
items.
I'm going to do it faster. This is the night view of the gateway with the world's most famous beach. And this will be the other option, night and, day and night.
Okay, all right. Comments, board
Information.
members, yes, sir.
So the choices for that sign is either boardwalk on top or gateway on top, correct?
Yes, or we can have another option that we thought about it was boardwalk, and then instead of amusement district, put the world most famous beach. That's not here because they haven't get back to me yet, but that was one of the options that I provided.
My personal opinion is Gateway is meaningless to me,
Okay.
even though I've only lived here 10 years or so, but I've lived in Florida. And as far as coming up here, it was always the boardwalk, Van Shell,
Okay.
Main Street. Those are what people know. People are gonna see Gateway and they're like, okay, what's that?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, it's a good. I disagree a little bit, only because it's the world's most famous beach.
Correct.
And, no, it's not that I'm right or he's wrong or anything, right,
Yeah.
it's just my opinion. Only because when I was a kid, when I came here, the biggest thing I wanted to do was go on that beach. That beach is world famous. And that's one thing we have. Ormond's over here. They don't say Ormond World's Famous Beach. They don't say New Smyrna World's Famous Beach. They say Daytona. And I think that's the biggest sales pitch we have in our city right now, in my opinion.
I appreciate
Most
it.
famous
Amy?
be on the bottom, I agree.
Amy?
Okay. First of all, this is something that would be kind of down the road. It's not something that's happening right away, right? Because we just fixed this sign. I mean, it's not, or,
Yeah.
I mean, here's my, okay, I'm kind of a thrifty person, you know, I look at this sign that we have and I think there's a lot going on there that is still usable. I mean, I'm going to take a little bit of a different stance. I think a freshen up of the color and then maybe, boardwalk, Main Street Pier, I like to have that on there, but, we have to think about like what's beyond that. Like when it's great to dress it up with a brand new sign, but if they go through and it's exactly the same underneath, I think we wait until we have a little more new stuff, the restaurants, the fun things that you talked about, more of a district where families go and really spend some time and enjoy walking on the boardwalk and sign, and then kind of christen it with the new sign. I would be in favor of maybe, new paint, some light, if you can get some lighting on there somehow, freshen it up. This is kind of a cool looking sign.
Okay,
And,
okay.
well, no, hang
You're repeating yourself three times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's against the rules? to
No,
repeat
no,
ourselves?
no, it's just boring.
Oh, well, I'm sorry I'm boring you, Gary, but I'm not quite done. So, and then I do, remember, this is like, world's most famous beach is on the ISB Street. So I don't really want to repeat that here, especially since people aren't driving onto the beach here, unless we're planning to open that driveway up. I don't think I think you say Main Street Pier and then boardwalk, maybe amusements, but I'd kind of like to see us hold off on putting a brand new sign up until there's some brand new things. No offense, but that's my money saving option. I like the idea of having lights, but there's lots of light around there even at night, but I don't think that's a bad looking sign.
I think it should be illuminated.
Okay.
Yeah, illumination.
All right, thank you,
So-
Amy.
There you go.
Anything else? We've got a comment, public comment, but I think the world's most famous beach is our name tag, and I think it has to be included there. Who would give up? That's worth billions of dollars in the international mentality. All over the world, they know the world's most famous beach is Daytona Beach. I would hate to see that gone. It's not a boardwalk. It's never been a boardwalk. It's a broadwalk. It's cement. It's not boards. And we've gotten a lot of flack over that when we included boardwalk anywhere, because it is not a boardwalk. But I think world's most famous beach is critical. Why would you give that away? Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Yes, Ann Ruby, did you have a comment?
On this one?
Yeah, on this one? I thought I got
I
your,
actually signed up for item 10, public comments, not on this
Okay.
one. But I agree with Amy, like, let's make this one as good, the one we have, as good as possible, improve the product. And rather than invest in another big structural sign right now, I'd like to see us invest in electronic notice kiosks on the sidewalks. I think that would be a better investment in terms of moving this area and Seabreeze forward, so. And
Thank
I
you.
think they have those on Beach Street too, don't they?
Yeah.
Like every place we have the paper sidewalk, the paper ones that don't hold anything meaningful.
Right.
If we could upgrade those, that would be great. That was my comment. Send the money.
Okay, thank you. John Nicholson.
John Nicholson, Beachside. You do realize that you have two signs within a couple of feet of each other.
Yeah.
So to redo one and not the other is kind of counterproductive. So, and you don't want to repeat the same words on two signs within 200 feet of each other. So,
So there's another one down here, you're saying?
yep, right, attached to the coquina.
Oh, over the little
Right.
bridge, yep.
So, my suggestion is you change the color. If you leave the color, nobody will notice it, all right? So I'm asking you, one, not to take it down because it's expensive. And if you're gonna do that expense, I would rather, like Ann said, go in with the kiosks and spend that money on the digital kiosks up and down A1A, up and down the boardwalk, up and down Main Street, where people could actually benefit from it.
Or both of them, or both.
Right.
Yeah.
But the money, there's only a limited supply of money. We have to use it wisely. So I suggest that we paint it. That center, you can always do that laminate that D&E does. Just slap it in there. Just take a picture of the casino or take a picture of the water or some kind of picture other than the Ferris wheel, which is no longer here. So we don't want to repeat ourselves on
Couple
that one.
dolphins or something.
Yeah, something
Okay.
different.
All
Okay?
right, thanks, John. Okay,
I have
all done? Yes, sir.
I'm confused. I thought we already are getting electronic kiosks.
We are.
So that's
We
already
are.
in the budget.
But not,
Yes.
not where Mr. Nicholson is suggesting and Ms. Ruby is suggesting more of them in different parts
Oh, I thought
of
we
the
were
area.
gonna have it on International and the main.
Oh, they're talking about more, intensive use of kiosks, yeah.
We are in the process. You remember, we talk about that. We are in the process. We need to select, first, we need to receive the estimates. Yeah, and we haven't concluded that yet. That's why you haven't seen anything.
But it's only for those two streets.
We haven't identified the location yet. I know for sure that we're going to replace the one that we have on Main Street.
Right.
That's for sure, that we are going to
Yeah.
replace that one. And of course, in the other CRAs, we are going to have kiosk. But the rest of the locations, we haven't identified.
Right. And I think there is talk on doing something for Peabody Auditorium on A1A, isn't there? A better sign, now that Peabody is a local designated historic site. And the program at Peabody has been terrific. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to participate in what's happening there, but it's wonderful. And I think the more people we can attract to Peabody, the better it is. And since A1A is right there, and Peabody is a historic part of the city too. It's a part of the world's most famous beach. I don't know if many of the old timers remember the people who spoke at Peabody Auditorium. I mean, major speakers were brought in from all over the world. DeBakey gave his first American talk on his heart transplant in Peabody Auditorium. I mean, it has an incredible pedigree. Anyway, thank you very much. And where are we now? Are we at comments by the members of the board? Any more public comments? No more public comments? Is Mr. Nicholson heading in this direction? Yes, John Nicholson.
Public comments.
Give your name and your full address, why don't you? Instead of just
It's 413
Beachside.
North Grandview Avenue.
Okay,
Well, the
thank you.
county does Beach.
Okay.
There's several things. One I forgot to mention, the woman who suggested that we be Art Deco, we be another Miami Beach, has been gone from the city for 35 years. We are not Art Deco. We've had one hotel that's Art Deco, none of the others. So that's why I'm suggesting a different color. They've changed the pink on downtown. I think the yellow, the pink, greens, the Art Deco colors, they've had their time. It's time to change it.
beachy too.
Okay. Anyway, a couple of things. I asked you at one point what properties Teresa Doan has sold that we know, and it hasn't come back, and I don't know if you guys are interested in, but I think you should know which properties she sold, because the company that bought those properties also wanted to put apartments on Main Street. And the question is, where are we with the apartments that they were going to build? Remember, they were going to build some downtown and build them between Main Street and the Ocean Center? So I'd like to know where we are with the with that.
John, I think you're going to have to ask the developer, because there's been no information either shared, I think, by the city or by anyone having anything to do with the Main
Do you
Street
know
area.
that those 30 minutes that you take while I'm talking runs out my clock?
Oh, we'll give you the extra time.
You never do, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Also, $100,000, the downtown has $200,000 that they give. They have less than half the amount of money that you all have. If they can fork over $200,000, you guys should at least do $200,000 or $250,000. You have the money. It's about time we spend it, all right? I know I've griped about how much money we spend in supporting Midtown and supporting downtown. It's about time we spent some money here. Secondly, there's a company called Goals that advertises for downtown. I think we should talk about getting them or putting out an RFP for Al's position. There are several people that wanted to do what Al did downtown. Al won because he was downtown businessman. So I think we should do an RFP and have money, $100,000. Downtown gives $100,000 to the DDA. We should give $100,000 to advertise the functions and the events that are downtown. And I don't mean Bike Week. I mean the small events like Cinco de Mayo,
We can't
Labor Day.
We can't do downtown.
Yes. No.
You said downtown.
Downtown donates $100,000
No, I understand
to
that.
their CRA
Yeah.
for advertisement.
You wanted us to
To
support.
do $100,000 for advertisement for our CRA on Main. I guess you guys got that, didn't you? So, and Al does new events when there's nobody out, nobody's doing anything. My suggestion is Cinco de Mayo, people go out. It's a great time to have an event. It took me 7 years to get Main Street to realize that New Year's Eve would be a great event. Get them while they're out. Labor Day is the time when people come into town. Have an event at Labor Day, Cinco de Mayo, all the events where people are already going out. We only have 2 bars on Main Street. We have 13 restaurants. But our restaurants are more like bars. So it's an entertainment district. We might as well use what we've got, and any major event, any festival, any national holiday, have an event on Main Street. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Yes. Ann Ruby.
Thank you. Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. Forgot where I lived for a minute.
Yeah.
I actually wrote to the Volusia Property Appraiser's Office and got a map of the parcels that were sold to CEO by Teresa Doan, based only on looking for one new owner's name. So unless they changed their ownership name, I missed them, but it's a good map. I asked you guys to do it for a while and nobody did, so the property appraiser turned it around in about 2 hours. And I can email that to anybody if you'd like to get it out to me. Thank you. On project updates, there's no mention of the Corbin building, so I was hoping somebody'd ask for an update on that.
We're
And,
going to.
And there's one other thing, and I think I forgot it.
You may
I'm going to
come
stand
back.
here for a few minutes and think about it.
You may come back.
I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. If you think of it,
Thank
just
you, Ann.
raise your hand,
Okay,
Ann.
thank you.
Okay. I guess, board members' comments. Could we begin with Miss Amy Pyle?
Okay. I noticed a month or so ago, something when I was preparing for the Biketoberfest or Bike Week Task Force meeting, looking at properties that are typically used during Bike Week. And I noticed that a handful of them on South Noble Street that were residential properties, and they're behind full moon. They've been used for parking for a long time in defiance of ordinances. But the county arbitrarily comes in every now and then and looks at properties and decides that their use is different than what their zoning is. So these properties are still zoned residential, but the county deemed them parking lot, which devalued them. So literally, we lost tax base in that moment that they devalued those properties. Now, that's the county driving by and looking and saying, oh, it's a parking lot, even though it's an illegal parking lot. So I guess what I kind of had hoped to see, and I could probably do a request from Volusia County, but I'm wondering if there's a way that we can get a list from the county of properties that have been like the land use code, they call it, I think, or the, in the, as far as the property appraiser's website, when you look at it now, it says parking lot / mobile home park on those properties, which they're not. They're still zoned residential in the city. So if we could ask them for whatever properties may have been recategorized in the past year. This was done in 2023 after they were sold to Consolidated Smokers. So maybe a sale triggers it, that kind of thing. But the tax base value went down. So it's just something to consider from a redevelopment standpoint. If properties are just kind of losing value on paper all of a sudden, it's it's worth looking at. And maybe we take a look at those properties and say, how did that go down? It's just a point of reference. So I thought I'd bring it up since it was a really odd thing that I happened to notice. There's two.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that, Amy, because I
Yeah.
believe it will probably come up again. So are you referencing to the entire CRA?
Well,
And are you talking about particular streets, vacant land?
I guess I'm leaving it in your hands. I'm just tossing it to you as a piece of information because they don't notify the city when they make these changes. They say it doesn't change zoning, so they don't even tell us about it. It just happens arbitrarily. But it would be kind of easy to put in a public request for which properties changed land, property class, I think it is, on the property appraiser's website. Which properties changed in 2023, just to see. It might be interesting to see what they did. And I'd leave it up to you as to what areas you want to cover, or if it's, it's costly to do that research, but it might be interesting. We might say, oh my gosh, they devalued 30 properties in the area without us knowing, and we could dispute it too. I think you can go in and say, no, that's not the land use.
The property appraiser is dictated by the Department of Revenue.
Correct.
And those land classifications have nothing to do with zoning. They have nothing to do with, and so they have to appraise the property at its current use.
Correct.
So if it's vacant land, it's vacant land. Even if it was single family, it's going to be appraised. So if there was a structure on there and it goes away, they have to reevaluate it.
Okay.
So
It was vacant, and now but it was reevaluated as a parking lot. So and I looked at the taxes on it, actually, everything else in the area kind of went up. I know mine did. This one went down on what we collected in 2023, or what they, billed for in 2023. So I'm not an expert at this, but I just to me, that's a problem when property values are going down and we don't even
Are
realize.
you talking about city or county or both?
Taxes?
Yeah, taxes.
Tax value.
Tax value
Taxable
too.
value, it's for all of it. Taxable value.
Well, no, my bill shows city, it shows the county, it shows
It
a
all
whole
goes
But it's
down.
list
based
of.
on a value.
The whole thing goes down upon a value. So if you
Well,
have a value
yeah,
of
yes,
$100,000.
Both. In answer to your question, both.
But the tax men who travel through the county looking at property don't change zoning.
No, they
Okay.
don't. It's land use.
Yeah.
And-
Well,
and-
it's not even, it's land
Property
use. It's-
class.
Property class.
Yeah, they try and determine what it's
So
being
I just
currently
object-
used for.
I object to them
And, you know, Mr. Chair, the property owners also have the, option to go before the property
Correct.
valuation board to.
Correct.
Yes.
To ask for a reduction. You know, so, I don't know, we can, you know,
It's a-
contact them and see if, you know, what kind of, you know, research would it take on their office to give us a list of.
Yeah. They said it was not a request of the owner.
And here's the other thing too, we do get, a report from the property appraisers on the entire property valuation for the CRA.
Oh,
Correct.
okay.
That comes every year. It comes to our finance department. So,
Correct.
and that's how we get money from our trust fund. So normally, we get a percentage, we are told what the percentage increase in the property valuation is. That's how we get additional.
And Ken, isn't it true that on Main Street, when buildings were torn down and not rebuilt, that we lost, the city lost, on paper, lost value because the uses were parking
Exactly.
and assembly. And one of the arguments that many citizens brought to the city commission when they were granting permits to take down buildings, because they thought the owner said, I'll rebuild, and then defaulted and didn't rebuild. And that's why we have all, you know, the Urban Land Institute said Main Street was like a beautiful lady who, when she smiled, was missing teeth. And the teeth that were missing were the buildings that were no longer there. And so it's not just in neighborhoods, it's on Main Street itself. There was a huge devaluation of the property on Main Street.
Yeah, this is right behind
Yeah.
Full Moon, so it is. So anyway, I just wanted to bring it up at this board.
Thank
for-
you.
For reference, whatever.
Yes, sir. Oh, you
wait,
finished?
I wasn't done. I was gonna
Okay.
ask, now I've spoken to you about this before, Ken, but I'm just gonna reiterate that, the two properties that the city owns on Grandview are the only two that are missing a retaining wall. And I think they should be replaced. I'm throwing that out there for, you know,
You know, it costs money.
I know, I know,
I'm
but.
just wondering, because I know you're frugal, so.
But is it,
Yeah,
yeah, well, it's just a point of, I mean, it's one of those little things that I feel like everybody, like if my retaining wall were to keel over, I would be required to replace it. I can't just eliminate it and let the dirt go out onto the sidewalk. So I'm sticking to my story there. I have a question about this is my last item, I promise, don't bore you. What is going on at the foot of the ISB bridge on the north side? All that activity and the machines and
There's a marina going in there.
well, is there a marina going in there?
Yes.
North side, as you come.
On the east side of the river.
By Halifax, between Halifax.
Not yet,
No,
but
not yet.
but-
I have to go on there and look.
Yeah.
I think that's part of
They're
the
getting the funding.
Well,
construction. The marina's not happening yet.
But it's not part of the ISB construction, it's been.
No,
put
no,
on.
no, no, it
Let
has
him-
nothing to do with the ISB
Okay,
construction.
I'm asking Ken if you know, what are all the machines doing there? Are they dredging? Are
Yes,
they-
yes.
I
Yes.
don't know.
You don't know?
Does anybody, I don't think,
Yeah, I know. It's a-
we don't
We
have
have-
anything, that was, a permit was issued or a request for a permit. We don't know. but
Well, that's
we'll
kind
find
of
out.
crazy. It's a huge, it's been there for years and it's got like a silt fence and there's machines constantly.
Yes,
working
sir.
Back in there.
Could you help us?
Okay, Bill.
Well,
I'll pass.
they went for funding. They came to actually my father for funding, and they talked to my friend Chuck Duva, which is next door to us. They're getting funding together to try to get the money together for the marina. What's going on? They're waiting.
But they did have a permit with St. John's, and so they went ahead and they took out the land that was necessary in order to have a marina there, should they have a marina there. They still own the land. That's why all
I
that
don't know
dredging
what-
stuff has
I'm
been
not-
there.
I still don't understand, but go ahead.
We'll ask.
Yeah, curious.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, what did you have to say, John? I'm sorry.
Dredging is gone, it dried out, they removed it.
But that's why they were in there doing that, yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't have too much to say other than to thank everybody here, because it takes a lot of dedication to hear me ask a bunch of questions. I greatly am excited about a lot of things that's going on in the city, and I was going to thank all the staff for their dedication, and the people on this board, thank them for their time, and to thank Ann Ruby. Ann Ruby, I wanted to ask you a question, if I could. Okay, what is the name of your non-for-profit?
For responsible development, for our
I'm really kind of urging people to try to log on to that and try to learn from it. I've really found some very interesting stuff on her site, and thank you for putting it up there for us.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
The only comment I have, I already discussed it with Angela about Ocean Walk, some of the signage of the property where the movie theater used to be and the pizza parlor. A lot of people go to the band shell, like deteriorating signs
Right.
up there. I don't know, the owner's responsible, but there's nobody that is doing anything, and Angela volunteered to look into it. So I just want to get that on the record.
Thank you. I have two items that are more questions, Ken, I think, to the staff than anything. On my way here tonight, I drove by the old Gateway Restaurant, and I remember sitting on this board when my friend, Dr. Duva, came, made a presentation to us about what he was going to do with the Gateway property, because he needed it in order to satisfy the parking requirement for the beaches. And they submitted a request that was incomplete. It did not have the landscape plan. I should have known then there was something going on. They didn't have a landscape plan, and we invited Dr. Duva to come up and share with us, because he's very knowledgeable about that and feels it's an important part of a project. And he shared with us his information about how he was going to landscape when the Gateway Restaurant was taken down. I don't think he's gotten a permit to take it down, and it's still sitting there as a derelict building right across the street from the beaches. Now, the beaches was given a permit. We okayed it. We believed that there was going to be parking development there. Where are we on that project? What's happened? It has nothing to do with the International Speedway Boulevard development. Why hasn't that been done? And who polices that, I guess?
Well, if they haven't fulfilled the requirements of, I think it was a P, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have to check it. There's some timelines. It says
It's over a year now.
he should do X, Y, Z. So we'll check on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you for bringing that up
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah, I think there's got to be something missing there, and okay.
Yeah.
The restaurant was open.
Well, Dr. Duva's owned the restaurant for 3.5 years. Yeah. Okay. Second question is, at our last meeting, we had a very elaborate proposal before us for a parking garage on the beachside. And during the question and answer, I forget which one of my colleagues asked one of the developers, when did he anticipate breaking ground for the parking garage? And he told us, well, he had no idea when. He wasn't really going to build a parking garage right now. He really wanted to put a parking lot on the property. And I looked through the proposal, and there was no mention that they weren't going to do the parking garage project, that was, I don't know what it was there for, other than to get our attention. But there was no landscape plan. It was going to put on a parking lot. There was no landscape plan. I mean, it was, to me, what I would consider to be a partially complete application. And a colleague who watched our program was very concerned that we changed the zoning of that property from business professional to the appropriate zoning for a parking garage, with the knowledge that there is no no fact of a parking garage other than the elaborate drawing that was done by the architect before us. And it puzzled me and it bothered me because I rely on the staff, you know, to look at things like that. And I'm wondering, what happened there? Did you folks know that he really wanted to put in a ground parking lot? Because there was no plan of a parking lot, no lighting plan, no landscape plan. You've got people living to the west of that parcel of property. If it's a parking lot, are the lights gonna be on all night? He told us he would operate it remotely from his restaurant. And the whole thing sort of, it got to be so far from the application I was looking at that I wondered, did the applicant make up the fact that he isn't going to build a parking garage? I mean, I'm just confused how the application with a $1 million parking garage, you know, was a bait.
It was in his application as well as his site plan.
What was in his application?
The construction will either be surface parking or parking garage, in addition to storage space. So it's in the application. As a matter of fact, the attorney came up and he also indicated that it may start out with surface parking.
Oh, no, he told us that. He shared it with us.
So it's all part of the documentation.
But was there a plan, a parking plan? How many spaces? Was there a landscape element? What about the lighting? I mean, is it a parking lot or can he use it for special events? I mean, you've got residential to the west there. And I was a little, I mean, we voted against it unanimously, those of us who are allowed to vote. But I was just very confused because you guys are very good at looking at a complicated application and ferreting out the priorities in it. And that one, until we asked him what was the date on which they were going to break ground for the parking garage, it was the first we heard from the applicant or his attorney that he really wants to put in a parking lot. Now, we don't know if it's a permeable surface, if it's... Okay.
So there's a difference between zoning approval and site plan approval.
Correct.
This was not involving site plan approval. So none of the paperwork required for site plan approval is required for your zoning change. This being a planned development, there is a planned development agreement that will be executed by the city if it gets approved that details the timing of when development has to occur. And just as this we had on our agenda today, a development that didn't meet their timeline, they lost their planned development agreement,
Okay.
and it goes away.
Okay.
So how it's laid out in the agreement will dictate as to at what point in time they would have to construct the parking garage. And it's at that time when they do their site plan, when they know exactly what their garage would be if they do a garage or their surface lot, that's when they come in for site plan approval that has the landscaping, the landscape buffer, the drainage,
Okay.
that sort of thing. So it wasn't at that point in time
Okay.
for them to provide that material.
Okay. Was everybody clear that they weren't building a parking garage? I mean, it's...
One or the other, but I knew the site plan actually.
Well, I think what he said, when in the question and answer, and I haven't checked the minutes, I think he said, until we're ready to build the parking garage, we'd like to put in surface parking. And he admitted that. But yet, we had a very elaborate presentation of the parking garage, but not a word on the surface parking, its location. He sort of told us generally where it would be. He didn't say whether it would be, he said he would operate it from his restaurant, if you remember that, electronically. We didn't know if it was gonna be lighted at night. You've got neighbors, residential housing, all, you know, on two sides there. I was just a little puzzled. Now I understand they were well within the framework of what they were doing, but the presentations seemed so overemphasizing the glamorous parking garage, which was on the cover of their proposal. Okay, I get it. Thank you. So I'll look forward to when they come back. Okay.
If they get their approval.
If
So
they
they
get
still
the-
have to get their PD approved, so we'll see what happens with
Okay,
that.
okay. Not that, and I still am for a parking garage on the beach. Still am in favor of it. It was just the way the thing was presented. It had a sort of bait and switch kind of quality to it. Not that it was, but it had that, on analysis. And I wasn't the only one. I think when this went before the planning board, there was some discussion about that, and then the commission meeting too. Both hearings, I think, there were questions. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, anything else? Any other comments? Yes, Miss Ann Ruby. She remembered her as welcome.
Sorry, thank you for allowing me to do this, Andrew.
Sure.
37 Park Avenue. I remembered my last thing. First of all, thanks for the shout out, Will. The website is C4RDDaytona.com, and the website's been mostly the work of Sandy Murphy. There's a ton of stuff there, including links to like the Land Institute, the Urban Land Institute
Yeah.
study, Midtown studies, all of them. They're all there. So just go check it out. It's the number 4 RDDaytona.com. So thank you, Will. Appreciate that. Sure. What I wanted to ask for, and I know it's a big ask, could we possibly get a restaurant, bar inventory by establishment? What kind of licenses they have, like on Main Street, in the CRA? I think it would be a useful tool.
If they got their BTRs.
If they've got, if they're operating without a BTR, then if they're on the street and their door is open, then that would be the notation, no
Right.
BTR. So maybe the BTR application expiration date, like just information. It would be a pretty big lift, I think, to kind of do that, but I'm thinking, Main Street and Seabreeze, it would be great for all the Beachside, but let's not be silly. But we could start with Main Street, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Hearing no other, do I hear a motion to adjourn? We are adjourned. Thank you.